Yo, what is up YouTube? And today I'm going to be showing you guys a quick DokiDoki one-shot Inferno guide. Basically, this is the team that I'm using. I'll be talking about some replacements you can use after I show you guys the run, but this is the most commonly used team with Mio, Beyontin, Kloss, Kaz, and of course Rilmocha to one-shot, and you're going to see how it works out. So basically, Mio goes first here. She'll turn meter steal to push up my team. My Kloss on Codex will then S3, put defense down and speed down on everything. My Beyontin will give my team crit damage and attack. Then my Kazuyo sleeps everything. My Rilmocha will go into one of the side adds with the S3, one shot, and then the entire wave will get splashed and die. Then here my Mio will then S2. She's not on Codex, she's on White Fang. And then you'll see my Kloss and Kazuyo will S3 again. Beyontin pushes up my Mio because she has the longest cooldowns. But it doesn't matter. And you'll see I one-shot the side wave, or the side ad again. And this mob will take a turn. My Beyontin is not going to die. And she will get focused because she's red in this. And basically my Rilmocha S3s again. And boom, ad's dead. And Inferno is cleared. And this is going to be the fastest one-shot comp for farming Inferno DokiDoki, which is going to be very, very good for 2x farming, which is actually happening very soon as of this recording. So let's take a look at my team here. So the first character we're going to look at is my turn meter opener, which is going to be Mio. And Mio is very good because her S3 will not only take the enemy's turn meter, but also give it to your team. And then she also gives your team speed buff, which will allow them to lap faster, as you saw in the first wave, to allow my team take their turn. You really need a turn meter manipulator to actually boost up your team and push the enemies back, so that you can actually take your turn without dying on the first wave. Mio is going to be very good at 4-1-3 skill lattice investment for this, but you can actually run her on 1-1-1. When I was lacking lattice for a bit, I actually had her at 1-1-1, and it worked fine. The only requirements is you need her on highest effect accuracy possible, so I have basically 3 effect accuracy pieces, and then you want her to be at 286 speed or higher, so she outspeeds the first wave. A replacement for her that you can actually use would be something like a Marvel, because Marvel actually has a turn meter pushback as well. Just keep in mind he doesn't redistribute it to your team, but he does speed down and resist down the enemies, which gives you some extra debuffs for your momentum matrix to work on. So Marvel is a good substitute as well. Now for the second character is your Kloss. Kloss can be replaced by Dinah if you have her. The only reason why Kloss is so good is because she has a ton of debuffs in her S3. She also has defense down, which is pretty required. And the hacking and hacking progress will boost your team's damage by a decent amount. And the reason why she is so good is because she can just apply a ton of debuffs so that your Rilmocha's momentum set will pop off and do the most damage as possible. Now, if you don't have Kloss, you can use Dinah like I mentioned. Now, you have to keep in mind she is countered by affinity because she's Reason or Red. So because of that, you get 50% reduced effect accuracy, so you need a ton of effect accuracy. Not only do you need these right side pieces, but you're also going to need a shell. I don't know if I have one actually right now, but a shell with insight on the right side. So if you go to, let's go to my Kloss's shell right now. If you're running Dinah, you really need her to have the shell passive effect in passive slot 3. That is called insight, because this will increase your effect accuracy by 48 to 60%, and it reduces at the end of each turn, but it gives you that boost to overcome that affinity disadvantage. Dinah's also very, very good. It's just that she doesn't have speed down. If you actually plan to use Dinah, what I recommend is actually using her with Marvel, because Marvel has this resist down, which will make it easier for her to land her debuffs. Yeah, but Dinah's very good. You don't need any investment into her. She has a defense down, she's vulnerable and erosion, so she has like a super defense break. She actually makes your team do more damage than Kloss would. It's just that you need a lot more effect accuracy, which makes her less common, but she's still a very, very solid choice. Honestly, better than Kloss in my opinion if you have the gear to make it work. And then for stats, yeah, you want her to be on super high effect accuracy, and then of course you want her to be fast. I recommend having her as fast as you can. I think 250, 260 speed is fine. Just make sure that she takes the turn before the ads do after the CR pushback. And if you're running Mio, you can run pretty much, 250 speed even, I think, and you're fine. But with Marvel, you might have to run a little bit more. I haven't tested it out. The next character that's going to go is your Kazuyo the Reverie. You can run her a bit slower because you do want her slower than your Kloss here. The reason why you want her slower is because you do not want Kloss to wake up the Slumber, because Slumber makes you take extra damage if you're affected by it. So you're going to see that she's tuned to go after the Kloss, before my Rilmocha. And so I have her at like a 245 speed baseline. You can run her a little faster, a little slower. Just make sure that she's slower than Kloss. For your effect accuracy, you're going to want, same thing, 3 right side pieces. And then for your shell, you also want codex as well. The reason why you want 2 codexes is because you're going to one-shot the first wave with the S3 combo into Rilmocha S3. Then after that, codex will reset the cooldown of your S3, so you can do it on the second wave as well, right after. This character is pretty much irreplaceable because she has the CC to break the shield on the mobs, and then she has sort of an extra damage modifier because she gives you that slumber. On top of that, she has 2 debuffs, which will make your momentum scale even more. Now, the second to last unit that is going to go is Beyontin. If you guys do not have Beyontin, actually, Yang is a very good substitute. The only caveat is that Yang's buff is crit rate, and you're going to see here that Beyontin's buff is going to be crit damage, so because of that, your gear will have to differ on your carry, but they pretty much serve the same function. They're buffing your damage dealer with attack and crit. Because of that, it will lessen the gear requirements by a lot, and they're definitely required because you really need your Rilmocha, which is the next character to one-shot. Now, you might have noticed that my Beyontin's actually really fast, and it doesn't matter what speed you have her on as long as she goes before Rilmocha. Because she's S3ing, she's not going to wake up any sleeps, so you just throw her on whatever gear you have, make sure that she's faster than Rilmocha, and you're good to go. And she's like by far the easiest to gear. You can just see I have her on random pieces here, and just speed is okay. Having bulk actually is nice, so she doesn't die on the second wave. If she dies, what happens is the ad will actually heal. So, changing this attack to something that gives her health is probably better, honestly. Like something like this would probably be a lot more effective. But yeah, Swift Rush is fine. That's all you really need. And then for your shell, I have her on Artisan just because it makes her tankier. I think the best option is actually Amber, so she doesn't get one shot, but Artisan's fine as well. And then for skill investments, you don't need anything else. Now for the last character, Rilmocha, this character is going to be the hardest to build. You just pretty much need her on full damage because if she doesn't one-shot the first wave, you're pretty screwed, and if she doesn't one-shot the second wave, you're also screwed. So for her build, I have her on Momentum Onslaught. You can run her on Momentum Fury, Momentum Harvest. It's really on what you guys have for your gear. I've seen people run her on Momentum Kenai even. It's going to be pretty much what kind of codex you get and what kind of gear actually helps you hit the stat requirements. Now, Momentum is necessary for sure, though, I'd say. You're going to want her on 85% crit rate, because she's green, so she gets an extra 15% crit against the blue characters. And if you have Yang, you can drop this by 30%. And then everything else needs to go in crit damage and attack. I like to go for 100% crit damage at least, and then as high attack as possible. And it's going to really come down to the gear and the matrices you use, but you just need as much damage as you can because as you saw in my video, she one-shot both waves, and that's pretty much necessary to do this consistently. And you're going to see she's on crit rate, attack, and crit damage. If you're running Yang, you will drop this crit rate for a crit damage one. It is fine, and you should be good. And the run comes entirely down to if she one-shots or not, so you have to make sure that she, has the damage to do it. For skill investments, S3 max is required so that the splash does more damage. I've seen some people go into S1 for the attack percent and S2, but if you have good enough gear, you don't need it anymore, especially after the HP nerfs to the waves. So that's really up to you. I don't really recommend it because you're wasting lattice. And then for your shell, you need her on count. Every other shell is bad. White Fang does its damage after the S3, so it doesn't help you to splash the damage. And Revelation isn't that great on her. So count gives her the most damage on the S3 turn, and it's going to just make her do a ton of damage. And because it lasts 2 turns, the S3 will get buffed for the first wave and the second wave, which is why this is by far the best. Of course, you want attack, crit damage, or crit rate depending on your gear, and then you want final damage on the last slot. But this is pretty much the one-shot team for DokiDoki Inferno. There's not really a lot of replacements you can use, except for, I guess there are a lot. You can replace Mio with like Marvel and any other turn meter pusher if you have one. You can replace Beyontin for Yang, and you can replace Kloss for Dinah, or even Nahor. I haven't tested him out, the new character, but I've heard he can work as well in place of Kloss. Rilmocha and Kazuyo the Reverie are irreplaceable, but, Kazuyo is free to play, and then Rilmocha is something you can get from the targeted selector if you chose her. Otherwise, you have to wait till you get her to do this. But yeah, this is the fastest possible run. My run takes about like 50 seconds to a minute. You'll see like better geared Rilmochas on, some weirder team comps that are tuned better will actually be faster. But this is like the most commonly used team comp, as you'll see here. That is going to be for one-shotting DokiDoki. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below what your Rilmocha's stats are on. I'm very curious what everyone's Rilmocha's gear is on right now, because you're going to see that everyone runs like different stuff, and I'm just curious what yours is on. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next video.